Hello and welcome back. We are back with the exciting new release of Redprint App Builder. Redprint Laravel App Builder has released an exciting new version with a bunch of new cool features. In this video, we're going to review the Redprint version 1.5.5 updates and explain and share a little trick and tips with you guys. So let's begin. We're going to log into our backend using the username and password. In previous version, we showed you that Redprint now comes up with a inbuilt IDE so that you can change your files right within Redprint and save them if you're not able to use a regular IDE, or you just prefer to use this built-in IDE that Redprint comes up with. Great. In this video, we're going to show you the most significant features that are released in this version is API generation and API testing tools. Before we jump into the details, let's discuss a few little things that I think makes Redprint a standout. So as you know, Redprint uses its own inbuilt packages to run this software. Everything is modular inside Redprint. Redprint mainly uses two core packages for its functionality and one package for theming. The two packages that are responsible for all the functionalities are Redprint itself and the permissible role permission system. So in this version, permissible got a significant boost. It now uses JWT, that means JSON Web Tokens for those who know. This is used for API authentication. So now permissible is able to handle API requests, authenticate them, and build you a proper solid API for your next big project. Be it a Android app or an iOS app, you have to often build a web API that is going to feed the data to those applications, so you can build those API using Redprint easily. We're going to show you how. And the Redprint software itself comes up with the latest API tester tool that lets you test your API that you just created using Redprint. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the code generation. Let's jump onto the builder and create our CRUD for this tutorial. What should we build now today? Let's build cars because we all like cars. Alright, and there you go, the new tick mark. Yeah, this is just one tick mark that is going to let you generate all the API code. Otherwise you would be writing by hand and spending hours. So yeah, tick on this create new button and you're all set for building the API. So let's add some fields to this ID, and then we're going to give it a make, like the car makers. Make it searchable, and yeah, we're going to index. And next, let's add a field called color. Alright, here we're going to introduce you to a new feature that is available from this version and onwards, that is for enumerable data types. Laravel now comes up with the option to let you set up the default values that are going to be accepted by your database server. So for other data types, this field is to decide which data will be inserted automatically in case you left it null. But for this data type, it's going to allow you a comma separated list of options that you're going to allow for this field. For example, we're going to only allow red, green, and blue colors. Remember, you have to provide it a comma separated list. Don't worry about the spaces. Redprint is going to take care of that automatically, so don't worry. Just make sure that you provide your options like this, comma separated list, and you're set. Let's make it nullable, and yeah, we can search with it, and let's index it as well. And let's add another field that we always do is image. On image uploading, there is a small fix that I would like to mention. So previously, when you edited a model with a image uploaded to it, if you did not upload the image again, it would remove the previously uploaded image. But that bug has been fixed in this version. Thank you to everyone who reported this bug to us. So this version takes care of that gracefully. Right, image is always nullable for us, and what else? We don't need to show it in index, do we? And then no, it is a file and it's an image file. Next, we're going to make it a bit pretty by setting the responsive properties. For extra small screens, we're going to use the full width of the Bootstrap column system. So Redprint and the theme being used by it, Redprint Unity, is written in Bootstrap 4. So everything that is supported in Bootstrap 4 is also supported here. Okay, so this is for make color. Let's make it, okay, let's make it 6 as well. Image, let's make it even smaller. Yeah, 3 would be fine. Right, great. And let's just build our CRUD. And done. So now our CRUD is done. Let's quickly add some data to it so we can test the API after that. So what should be the first make? BMW and yellow. Let's see if we can find image of a yellow BMW. BMW yellow, and go to pictures. Sure enough, we have a lot of yellow BMWs. Okay, this one. Right, and then let's download a blue Audi as well. Should be pretty common. Yes, it is. No, not that big, please. Wow, these are big images. Alright, anyway. Cool. So we have one yellow BMW. Okay, there we go. And oh, look at this. So it says the selected color is invalid. So I think that was a typo, was it? No, yellow is not a supported color in our enumerable data type that we selected. We say that it'll only support red, green, and blue. So unfortunately, although our Audi BMW is yellow, we're going to have to select one of those colors. So as you can see, Redprint intelligently adds the validation rule to this that makes sure that you can't insert unexpected data to the database for this field, because this database field will only support the values that we entered as our options. So let's see if this works. Sure enough, it works. Next, add a blue Audi blue, and we have our blue Audi. So now that we have added the data, it's time to check our code that was generated by Redprint and see what is the difference from the previous version. Oh, before I jump onto the other pages, from this version and onwards, you're going to be able to see the current Redprint version from here. Cool. So let's go to the dashboard file browser and see what was done. So as you can see that the API.php now have some new codes. So this one here is the CRUD for the API CRUD for the car that would enable you to add, edit, delete, and view the list of cars using a API endpoint. These are the endpoints that are going to be available. We're going to show you real soon how you're going to consume these API endpoints. Let's see the other codes that are generated as well. So as you can see that there are two cars controller, one under backend namespace and the other under API namespace. So backend/API namespace. well, we have particular interest in this one, so let's see what this does. So unlike the normal controller that returns a view, this controller actually returns JSON responses. Not only that, we're using the Laravel HTTP resources as standard. So as you can see that this collection, CRUD collection, is actually a Laravel resource collection that would automatically JSON encode the data that we get from the models and also paginate them. We're going to see in detail real soon, don't worry. So as you can see, it can do all the operations using the API requests. Great, that was great. Now we're going to go ahead and check how we can consume this API. So we head on to the API tester. Oh, let's do one other thing before I forget. So we are going to try and access these API endpoint using our API tester. So this is CARS endpoint, but if you look closely, all these routes, they are prefixed with v1/backend, and all the routes defined in this api.php file are automatically prefixed by API prefix. So which means this endpoint actually is api/v1/backend/cars. So let's try and access this endpoint using our API tester. So this API tester is a simplified version of what you see in Postman. I find Postman is a very powerful and good software, but it can be a little resource hog, and you don't always need that kind of a detailed software to test simple API endpoints. We're going to show you how Redprint can be a real friend in these scenarios. So we're going to access api/v1/backend/cars, this endpoint. So this one is a GET request, that's fine, and when we make the request, it's going to fail because this endpoint, let's open up another tab and show you why this is going to fail. Because all these routes are, because this is a CRUD route and you don't want your users to create cars from outside your application, all of these endpoints are protected by JWT auth. This middleware ensures that you must provide a authenticated token to make this request. So let's see what this actually means, rather than saying all this nitty-gritty that doesn't make any sense before you really understand what I'm talking about. So let's click on the send button, and sure enough, you can see that it says 401, which is the response code for unauthenticated resource. So it says unauthorized, and the error message says token not provided. That perfectly makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So this endpoint here requires that you pass the bearer token to authenticate first before you can actually make this API call. So how do you get the authentication token? All right, be it a Android app or an iOS app, what you'll need to do first is you have to authenticate your user, and the API in response is going to give you a access token. To make authenticated calls to this API, you have to then use that authenticated token that Redprint provided you. Alright, so for authentication tokens, Redprint is using JWT, which is JSON Web Token, which is the industry standard for API authentication. So yeah, let's see how we can authenticate first. So we open the API tester in a new tab because we are going to make a API request to get the token. So the endpoint to get API token is permissible/auth/token, and you already know all of these routes in api.php is prefixed by API. So our final URL will be api/permissible/auth/token. So this route is a post route, as you can see. So you have to make post request to it, and all you need to do is give the credentials for your user. For example, our user is super_user at app.dev. So this is our user, and the value, the first field is email, and the value is this, and second field is password, and our password is super_user. Great. So as you can see, this is real time. This, if you notice here, this over here is two-way bound. So it basically shows you exactly what data you are sending to the server and what headers are included in this request. So for this case, we're sending a JSON containing the email and password, which should give us the authentication token, authenticated token, once we hit this endpoint with this data. So let's click on send, and sure enough, we got the JSON web token. So this JSON web token then can be used to consume your API from your Android app, web app, or iOS app likewise. So we're going to use this authentication token, see how we can use it. So when you're making an API request to the API that requires you to authorize, all you need to do is provide the bearer token. So the rule of providing bearer token is the authentication header name is authorization, and then you have to, the value is bearer. So like so, you have to type bearer and then give it a space and then paste your token. So it is bearer, then a single space, and then your token. So now if we make the request, it should give us the data that we have in the cars table on database. And yay, look at this. So we sent this request with the authorization bearer token, and we get back the data that is stored on our database, BMW green and Audi blue. Not only that, it also comes up with the correct pagination links and pagination metadata, like which page you are currently on, what is the link to that page, etc. So it also shows you this tool here. It also shows you exactly what header you sent to the server and what request was sent, all the headers information if you need to debug. So I found out that this is really handy when you're investigating why an API is not working on your Android or iOS app while it's perfectly working on your web app. So oftentimes when we're building the API, using the software to consume an API, we're not following the rules that were defined by the API itself. Okay, great. Now for our curiosity, we are going to create a car using the API request. So let's see how we can do that. Let's open this up in another tab, and this time we're going to send a request to cars/new post cars/save to this API endpoint. So API v1 backend cars/save, this endpoint. This is a post request, of course. Oh, pardon me. We opened a new tab just to do this, so I want to use this one over here. Right, API v1 backend cars/save. So this is a post request, and this one we're going to use later to see whether our data was really stored or not. Right now there are two datas. We're going to insert a new car and check back here if our data was inserted correctly. So API v1 backend cars/save post, and this also needs the authorization bearer token. So we're going to copy and paste that here. That's fine. So just copy the authorization bearer token like so. And then the parameters will be, if you remember correctly, we had a make. So make, this time the make is going to be Volkswagen. And then the color will be green. We already have yellow and red, yellow and green, so let's make it red. Alright, so we're going to try and make a new car, new Volkswagen with red color. Let's see if our API can do so. And it says data saved true. So that means that our data was created successfully, and actually this was the car that was created. So let's verify that by making this API request again and see if we have the number 3 here. And there you go. We have the Volkswagen red. Just to be 100% sure, we're going to go to the cars index here, and you can see that it was created indeed. So that is pretty neat, I think. So in this fashion, you can delete or edit or do anything to any of the records, just like I showed you right now. So that was it, folks. This is how you can build an API using Redprint app builder, and probably you can use it on your next big project where you have to build an API for your for a web app, probably an SPA, or maybe a mobile application built using other technologies. So hope you enjoyed this video, and hope you'll enjoy this new release. This is going to be available in the next couple of hours in CodeCanyon. Make sure that you check your email and update your Redprint to the latest version. Oh, before I go, the one other good news is, as you can see here, there is no updater that was previously available. We removed it because previously there was an issue with licensing that made us allow you to update the app from within this app and not use the regular composer update. But we found out that this can be a major distraction, and it can be a problem when you're working with a team and you need to use Redprint just like you use other softwares. So we made it updatable via composer update. So this is going to be a rolling update from now on. You don't even have to download it from CodeCanyon. You just composer update, and it's going to update your software as well. So thank you again. Have a good day. Bye bye.